This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
All right, so we're back. The analogy that you were going to cover.
Yeah, so with errors and omissions insurance, the analogy I say is if you have a car, right? You have car insurance. You're insured, right? Now, some insurance companies have like uninsured insurance that covers you so that if you get into an accident with somebody that has little or no insurance, right, your company will cover that.
Yeah.
But you're the covered person, right? Errors and omissions insurance covers the brokerage and the agents. But a lot of people say, well, I just want to go make a claim against E&O. And it's like, well, that's not how it works. We're the insured. We make the claim. Right, we're the ones that if something is going on that we feel that errors and omissions needs to come in, we can make the claim against it. But the average Joe on the street that feels wronged, they can't do that, right? But a lot of people do. We get a request all the time for send us the contact information for your errors and omissions. It's like, well, that's not how it works.
So why would they be wanting to make a claim, or who would be?
Yeah, so like maybe a consumer feels that their agent did something wrong, didn't disclose, was unethical, XYZ, and it resulted in the property having damage. Who knows, right? There's all kinds of different things, and so they'll say, well, give us your errors and omissions insurance. It's like, well, no, we can address the issue, right? We can talk to you, whether it's through legal channels or settlement, or we can tell them to go pound dirt, right? We do that a lot too. But our errors and omissions is not for the consumers. It's for us. And we choose when we want to bring it into play. Our internal in-house counsel, right, chooses if it makes sense to bring E&O in it or not. So
yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that people were like calling you up, like, hey, I want to make an insurance claim. Pay me out.
All the time.
Really?
All the time. I had one just yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was a story Matt was sharing with me about how this person, was it in San Francisco, Matt?
Yeah,
like
where
San
was
Jose,
Sunnyside? Yeah, so the Bay Area.
Bay Area.
So what is your thoughts on political discrimination? A landlord listed a 2-bedroom apartment in Zillow, and he said MAGA voters and Israel supporters only. And he got a lot of backlash from it, saying, hey, that's illegal. You can't just restrict your open house or the sale of your apartment to a certain demographic of political ideology. That's illegal. Are they right? Was he breaking the law by posting that on Zillow?
No. So I think probably what people are thinking of is protected classes. So there is fair housing protected classes, and that list is relatively large.
Yeah, I have it pulled up right now.
Yeah, political affiliation, as far as I know, is not on that list. I could be wrong, but I'm 99% sure.
There's no political
affiliation. I mean,
there is age over 40.
Yeah, so
you're in a protected class.
Well, I am too.
You are too.
Yeah. Watch it, John.
Oh man, hopefully I'll make it there someday.
You know, a seller it's their prerogative to sell to anybody. It's very subjective, right? Because it could be that, you might be making an offer at the price that I listed it at, but you're also asking for, credits for this or that, and so there's so many things, and it's subjective, and so the seller, it's well within their right to reject anything. Now, what gets sellers in trouble is that somebody may say, well, the reason you rejected my offer was based off of a violation of fair housing, right? You saw that you saw me going into this particular church, or you see that I'm
an interracial couple,
right? And so you made your decision not to sell to us based off of that, as opposed to anything else, because we gave you such a great offer, right? It's hard to say what that seller's decision was based off of. It's subjective to just them. Were they genuinely violating fair housing? Possibly. Right. But maybe there is another factor that's in there that isn't in. But what happens is now the sellers find themselves on the defense, right? Because now they have to show that their decision wasn't based off of that.
So do you recommend agents show their sellers those client letters?
Buyer love letters, I highly, highly, highly discourage it. And for this...
They work, though, from what I heard.
They do. People wanted to tug at heartstrings, right? But what happens is, let's say that there's a couple of different... Or even if there's not a couple of different offers, Johnny and Valerie write an offer on my property, and they put a buyer love letter. They have the picture there with them and their kids, and it's great. And I, the seller, don't choose their offer for whatever reason,
Yeah.
right? I didn't like that they wouldn't give me the rent back that I wanted, whatever it may be, right? But now they say, well, you didn't choose our offer because we sent you a letter and you don't like family. Your family values are not good, right?
Yeah.
And so those buyer love letters are inevitably a pathway to fair housing violations, even if it's unintentional, right? And in fact, the listing agreement defaults to saying that if those are received, we, the agents, will not give them to you. The seller has.
I'm glad you bring that
the
up.
seller
Because
has to sign.
we'll split the PDF.
Yeah.
And we'll remove it.
Yeah. So
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
So if the
I'm
seller
not going into
wants
court
them,
because they're not just going to sue the seller. They're going to sue me
they're
too.
going to sue you too. And so if the seller wants those love letters, they have to specifically sign in writing on the listing agreement acknowledging that they are directing us to provide them
But
to
do you
us.
tell the other agent or the other buyers that, hey, we're not going to share that
Yeah.
story?
Yeah, absolutely. There's
I don't say jack.
yeah.
I just like, hey, thanks for the offer.
I'm taking the fifth. I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no obligation to, but I'm not opposed to it. I'll be like, hey, by the way, the listing agreement says that these love letters are not going to be presented.
So you have
just
a
know.
law degree. I'm fishing in the dark here, man. I'm so nervous. I'm just like, I'm not saying anything. So, okay. So that was interesting though.
Yeah.
So he was not apparently,
So he was-
but
so-
there is a protected class that often gets people in trouble, that they're not aware of, right?
Veterans.
Veterans.
Yeah. So in this business, historically, agents have made a presumption that VA loans are underwritten in a way and appraised in a way that is detrimental to the seller. And so agents will tell their sellers, hey, we have this conventional loan and this VA loan, and they are exactly the same, but you're going to have a headache with the VA with appraiser.
Yeah.
Guess what? They just violated fair housing, right? Because veterans are a protected class, and they can't direct.
But I'm not accepting the veteran. Just come back with a better, what's the difference between FHA or conventional? Like, hey, give me your conventional offer. Give me your cash offer. Like, I'm not.
But let's say the offers are exactly the same, with the exception of one is a VA loan and one is a conventional loan, right? Every other term in there is exactly the same. And if the agent says you don't want to deal with the VA loan because of the underwriting, go with the conventional, they're violating fair housing.
Well, can you just tell the VA, hey, don't get a VA loan, go get a conventional loan, and I'd entertain it?
No,
Really?
you're violating fair housing.
But it's so weird. It's like
They have every right to
I'm
use
violating
that
the
VA benefit.
financing.
But it's a benefit. It's a benefit of being a veteran.
Really?
Yeah. And so if you're saying, hey, listen, if you go get a conventional loan instead of a VA loan, you are violating whether, I'm saying that in a general term, not necessarily you, Johnny, but like a seller, right?
Yeah.
Or whatnot. Anybody says, go change your loan type and I'll accept it.
Yeah.
You're violating fair housing. Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. So words of wisdom there. And then I got a funny, that reversed maybe discrimination clause.
Oh.
I don't or story. So there's this guy. He was wanting to sell his house, and we weren't working with him. He reached out to us because he was frustrated because his house wasn't selling, and we're like, oh no, and so one of my guys relayed the story to me, and he's like, what happened? Like, are you still listed? And he's like, yeah, I was listed. We were in contract. We were scheduled to close, and then all of a sudden, the family comes out to do their final walkthrough, and my neighbor's standing out in the front yard watering her grass, and she was wearing her outfit. And I'm like, what are you talking about, outfit? He's like, well, uniform, because she's in law enforcement. She's a correctional officer. And they thought she looked like she was a ICE agent.
Oh, boy.
And so they thought she was an ICE agent, so they pulled the plug on the deal.
Oh, wow.
So is that any form of discrimination, or is that like...
Well, it's the buyer, right?
Yeah.
The buyer, when you talk about buyer investigation, I mean, if you're at that point, you're pretty much past investigations. But an investigation can be anything. I can walk into the house Friday night at 6:00 and the shadow on the wall gives me the heebie-jeebies, right?
But like I'm not allowed to steer people, like redlining, like things like that. But then can the buyer make, let's say, racist or protected class decisions themselves?
Well,
And purchase the home?
A buyer can choose to buy or not buy anywhere. If the buyer says, I only want to live in a certain type of neighborhood, that's their choice. But what can't happen is the seller can't say, well, I'm going to prohibit. I don't want somebody an interracial couple, as an example, to live in this neighborhood. So I won't sell to them.
Isn't that interesting though? So the seller can't pick, but the buyer can pick.
Yeah, because it's the buyer's right to choose to live wherever they want to live. So it's they have the option. Right, but the seller does not, because it's discrimination to the buyer. The seller isn't being discriminated against because the buyer doesn't want to live in that neighborhood, right?
Well, they're not getting the sale.
What from that particular buyer?
Yeah.
From that particular buyer.
But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh no," and so I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of reverse, but not really." But the last thing, because we are running out, is what. Actually, I was going to say something else, but we do not have enough time.
You do. Just keep going.
Just have some time?
We have plenty of time. We have a little bit of overtime.
So sometimes things close, and then, people move in and there's issues. And then the agents are contacted by their previous clients.
Yeah.
What responsibility does the agent have? Like, what should they do under those circumstances? The transaction is closed.
Great question. So there's really two answers to that. So from a regulatory standpoint, agency relationship ceases upon the close of escrow. When the sale is completed, agency relationship is over. We're licensed to conduct real estate activity. Disputes are not real estate activity, right? So from a regulatory standpoint, what we should be saying is, hey, listen, we're not attorneys. You should speak with a qualified California real estate attorney and understand what your options are, because we can't advise on that, and we can't help with post-close disputes. But the other element to take into consideration is that we work in a profession that is built on reputation, right? And not just reputation, but a lot of times agents make long-lasting relationships with these clients, right? They become friends.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's not so easy to tell your friend now, oh, well, I can't help you. And so what agents do a lot of times is they do try to, at least on a surface level, see if there's a resolution that can be had or that they can assist with. But our advice as a brokerage will always be they need to go talk to an attorney, right? Because we're not attorneys. Yeah.
So you would be okay with the agent stepping in trying to figure that out? You would recommend that, or you?
I will always tell agents our advice to them is going to be this. But I will also say, hey, listen, if the buyer, we represented the buyer and the buyer wants to get some information over to the seller, help navigate that, right? Contact that listing agent, see if you can get that information. There are ways that we can, help to facilitate to a certain way, but I will always caution agents not to go too far down that bunny hole.
Oh my gosh.
Because inevitably they will get looped in. So it's like, hey, kind of surface level, right? Hey, Mr. Listing Agent, my buyer is having issues. Can you pass this letter on to the seller? They're trying to get in contact with them, stuff like that. Totally okay. But if you start trying to negotiate it and saying, I have seen agents that say, well, you're breaking the law. You're doing this or that, and you're open to litigation. It's like, well, how do you know? You're not an attorney. You may be practiced in this profession. You may have knowledge, but unless you are an attorney, you don't really know what this is going to boil down to.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, it was an absolute joy having you on the show. Thank you for coming on. We got to get you back on here before too long. It was way too long.
It's been probably a year. Yeah.
It's been a year. We got to do it more often.
Yeah, for sure.